And now, a word from
Infirmary Media.
Hi.
It's time for Blumpkin&Friends, starring your host, the Reverend Johnny Blumpkin.
I think they said something about, like, a podcast or whatever. I don't know.
Hey, kids. I'm the Reverend Johnny Blumpkin. And with me here today is my friend,
Motherfucking Weird Cookie, a.k.a. Graeme, formerly of ITradio.
Mecca like a high, Mecca.
I like where you went with that, where you used your wrestling name.
That's because that's what the topic is, I thought.
That's a good segue. Thank you for stealing my thunder.
You're welcome.
Fuckface.
I try my best.
I have alluded to the fact that Graeme was a part of the local wrestling scene, and he had some national, I won't say fame, but experience.
Yeah, something like that.
And I wanted to go over some of that because he can name drop a lot of dudes that you might know now. So my first question is, at what age did you first get into wrestling? I mean, as a fan.
As a fan, it was early 90s. My parents were all against it, but I'd wake up. So if Pee-wee wasn't on, I'd turn on WCW Saturday mornings when they would have like the grandmas with the guardrails that they would try wheeling themselves to the ring.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was just like the grandstand. It wasn't even a packed arena. Shawn Michaels, shortly after he left the New Rockers, Chris Benoit versus Kevin Sullivan, when they were going in the bathrooms way before Extreme was cool. But early 90s, then kind of got out of it. Then right before the Attitude Era showed up.
Okay, so what age was that? Because I asked what age. You didn't give me a number, you gave me a year.
I don't know my age. It was probably like...
Well, you're 37, because you're a year older than I am.
Yeah, I had to think what year it is.
Jesus Christ.
Dude, I have to minus the 1 year. No, I'm in my 30s. That's about it. Probably 12, 13.
Okay, now what age did you start getting into try to be a part of wrestling?
17.
And that was MPW?
No, AAW in Wisconsin.
And that stands for?
All American Wrestling.
Is that still around?
No. It was started by Jim Gagney, who is no relation to Vern Gagne, and we actually think his name was Gagnon. But he wanted to use his name or try to... Because he was trained by Vern.
Right.
When Vern was still down in the Milwaukee area.
What about Greg Gagney? Was he in any way related to Greg Gagney? Could he play any baseball?
No. But he was part of the Seahawks for a little bit, but never actually played for them. Yeah, he was part of the Seahawks. Yeah, he was on the sidelines. He would wrestle with like AWA and stuff like that. He supposedly had told Andre the Giant that he could body slam him. This was after Hulk Hogan did it, and Andre just laughed at him.
Ho, ho, ho,
Pretty much.
You're full of shit.
Yeah. And then he asked for ice cream. No, so before All American Wrestling, all I knew was WCW or WWF and ECW. Mm-hmm. And totally wanted to do ECW shit. Spike Dudley was my favorite at the time.
Spike Dudley was the shit.
Exactly. And because he was 155 pounds soaking wet, I was 135 pounds soaking wet. So, yeah.
You would have done awesome in the Divas division.
Yeah, thanks. The only independent then technically would be ECW that I knew of. I didn't watch any NWA or AWA stuff like that, Territories, Smoky Mountain, anything like that, or Calgary stuff. Even though my uncle and former aunt lived in Calgary. So she actually was one of the funeral directors for Owen Hart. Name dropping.
Closed casket?
That I didn't ask.
It's probably a pretty important contextual detail.
Yeah. That
Since the back of his head hit that fucking turnbuckle on the way down.
Yeah. So it was actually in Eau Claire. So he was living in Eau Claire. Jim Gagne was, and started an organization. It was November of '98 that they had the first show. A couple of classmates that were older than I had gone into it. First show, I had absolutely no idea what was going on, other than no idea who the wrestlers were. None of them were super famous. And brought a digital camera in 1998, old 3.5 floppy disk camera.
Jesus.
Yeah. And took a bunch of pictures and made a stupid-ass website on GeoCities. And when I was working at the mall, a friend of mine that was also into wrestling worked the high-speed internet kiosk to sell internet, and showing them the stuff, and some mall rat comes by, he's like, "Did you make that website?" "Yeah." He's like, "Dude, I went to high school with you and friends with two of the wrestlers." "Oh, okay." 2 days later, I get an email from Jim Gagney. He's like, "Hey, yeah, I liked your website. I want to talk to you about it."
Were you nervous?
I just thought it was a prank.
Oh.
So
I'd have been worried, like, oh shit, he's going to slap me with a cease and desist.
No. This is 98. So, like, the only wrestling websites out there was WWF, maybe WCW, and a whole bunch of backyard wrestling things.
Back when it was RajaWWF.com, that was the first wrestling site I ever got into. And then there was also WrestleZone. Yep. And then Lords of Pain. But if you went to the wrong Lords of Pain, it was a porn site. So it was lordsofpain.net.
Kind of like 5guys.com. The number 5 is a porn site.
Is it really?
Yeah. Spelled out is 5 guys. Yeah, that's what you really want to do. Check it out at work.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, 5 guys. The number 5guys.com. I don't know if it's still a porno site, but when it first opened up in Minnesota, a couple coworkers went to it. Yeah, they quickly shut down that website on their computer, not the actual website.
Right.
So
you get the email.
Like a day or two later, all of a sudden, some chick in my math class, I had a no reason boner, because you always get no reason boners while you're in math class.
Or any class.
No, it was always math class for some reason. I don't know if fucking algebra or whatever, fuck. She turns around and goes, "Hey, did you get my dad's email?"
What?
I had absolutely no idea who the fuck her dad was. She's never talked to me in my life. And yeah, so Tracy turns around, "Yeah, did you get my dad's email?" "Who's your dad?" "Jim Gagney." "Oh, fuck. Yeah, I'll respond, I guess."
You didn't admit that, "Oh, God, I thought that was a fucking prank."
No, I think I did tell her that.
Okay.
This is 98. I mean, I was a little internet geek. I knew what the fucking pranks were. I knew how to mask or to alias emails at that time. It was a lot easier then than it is now when you have Gmail and you don't have pop accounts. So got a hold of him, went to his house. He's like, "Yeah, you want to be the webmaster?" "Sure, I guess."
So there was no implication of involvement in the ring at all, or being an on.
He had asked me, like, "Oh, would you want to do?" Because I was 17, so I wouldn't be able to do anything until I was 18 the next year anyway. So he's like, "Who are your favorites?" So I mentioned Spike Dudley's, Shawn Michaels, other guys from ECW, and he's like, "Oh yeah, that could work." And then turned 18 and just decided to be a manager instead, because my back had issues already and my knee. So it's like, I'm not going to be able to take bumps and all that shit. Come November of 99, I debuted at my own high school. I think there was 2,000 people there.
Holy shit.
Yeah. He got close to 3,000 people at some shows. And then by the time the end of it, he was getting 200. But at that time... Good. But at the time, this was the only wrestling around.
Oh, okay.
And even now, it's like there's not much in Wisconsin. I was going to say the Midwest, but we're kind of spoiled in Minnesota. When you've got First and Steel Domain at one point, MPW, FLWA with the High Rollers. So got started managing some dude named Mason Diggs, and 9 months later, so September of 2000, I started managing Horace the Psychopath. And didn't realize how popular Horace the Psychopath was in Minnesota. But he was friends with Alexis. I don't know if you know who she is from around here. She was more back in the early 2000s. She used to hang out with Adrian Lynch.
I'm shaking my head. I don't know.
She did Steel Domain for a little bit too. So I started managing Horace, not realizing how popular he was, other than Jim brought him in from Minnesota. That's all I knew, just that it was a brawler. And Johnny, a.k.a. Horace, said, he's like, when I first met you, I thought you were just a fucking poser. Sure, yeah, I worked at Hot Topic. Sure, I worked at Spencer's. But he thought I was just one of those Hot Topic posers.
Just a scene kid?
Yeah, except, nope, spiked hair, colored hair. Nope, it was all real. The Mohawks were all real. And I was just as stupid as I was looking as mentally, too. So, no, he and I became friends, and when I moved up to Minnesota, we'd do road trips with the other classmate of mine, who then introduced me to, or he brought in Bonnie and Stacy, a.k.a. Rain, and her cousin, that they lived near the Super America that he worked at. So he brought them in as managers. They had no training.
Now, one question real quick here.
Here's Hot Chicks. Yeah.
Were you always using the stage name Weird Cookie?
Yes.
Can I just tell you something?
Go ahead.
In researching this episode, I have a go-to site. It's cagematch.net. It is an encyclopedia of wrestling. I'm talking guys that you knew from Midwest Pro Wrestling around here have entire pages that track not only, where they're from. It'll be how many matches per month per year and what federations or companies they wrestled with. You do not have one at all.
Frustrating.
I'm not sad.
You might want to submit something. I don't know if they have managers on there, but you're not on there. It was a bitch to find any background info, especially about, and we'll get into your other guy down the road, Joessiah, does not have a page under Joessiah.
Does he have one under Rob Justice, though?
I don't know. I'd have to look.
Fast forward, so started managing. At that point, they were doing 4 or 5 shows a month, which...
Through MPW?
No, through AAW.
Okay.
And everywhere from Eau Claire to La Crescent, Minnesota, that was a shit show. Schofield, Wisconsin, Wausau, Wisconsin. Wausau was our second home as far as at the venue. Sean's Base is loaded. But Eau Claire was always our go-to venue. It was either the high school or then it went to the Civic Center. And then come September 16th, 2000, I got a call from Johnny saying, hey, Jerry Lynn's bringing us to the show. Because it was his birthday, so they were going to go hang out afterwards. This is motherfucking the
Jerry
new fucking
Lynn, yeah.
Jerry Lynn. So they show up to my apartment and, hey, where are some grub joints? Go down Cedar Lake Road, go across 394, there's a Taco Bell. All right, we'll be back. I'm jumping in my fucking apartment. I'm like, oh my fucking God, Jerry Lynn.
I just jizzed my pants.
Yeah. I mean, I hung out with Lenny Lane with AEW. This was shortly after WCW, pretty much had folded.
Did he bring Charm's blow pops with? Were there any blow pops involved?
I believe so.
So he really did like blow pops.
Or at least for the gimmick wise. And
Okay.
I remember at one point, I don't know if that was the night that I debuted the dress or not, that Alexis, who he was dating too, had, but he's like, what are you? This is Lenny Lane, who hung out with Raven, who hung out with fucking Lodi, and he's looking at me
like, what the fuck is up with you?
Yeah, black mascara, black eyeliner. I found out mascara is not good to wear at a wrestling show.
No, because you sweat it out and it gets in your eyes.
I'll tell you what happened with that. The one and only time that I decided to wear mascara. Oh yeah, let's try it. Yeah, that fucking sucked. So he's like, what are you? I'm like, a gothic punk. That's just what I coined myself. Weird Cookie was the gothic punk of professional wrestling. As far as managers, I acted like Chastity from ECW mixed with Daphne, and just like a mixture, just run around the ring, act like a dumbass. If you ever watched ECW with like Chastity, that's kind of what she did. It wasn't managing as far as like Paul Heyman managing or...
Right, you weren't the mouthpiece trying to cut promos for anybody.
The first promo was the one that I introduced Horace. So it was his birthday. Jerry actually worked and I did a promo saying, yeah, I just dialed some numbers and got this guy to show up for your birthday. And Jerry Lynn shows up. The one cool thing about Jerry Lynn showing up to my apartment, we were waiting for Alexis, and Yeah, Jim said I'm going to have to do a promo. Jerry turned around excited. Do you know what you're going to say?
Did he know it was your first promo?
I think so. But to have Jerry Lynn, because I think I said, yeah, this is going to be my first promo, and him turning around excited, 15 years into the business, some dude that's on ECW, WCW, WWF, that was a fucking big thing for me. It's like, wow, I'm in Jerry Lynn's truck. It says ECW on his fucking license plate, or at least the license plate holder. He had the ECW license plate holder.
He was geeking out because you were going to pop your cherry, and you don't get to see that shit every day. So for him to see you, he's probably thinking, oh my God, this kid is going to fucking crash and burn.
No, Jerry Lynn's not like that. Jerry Lynn's like the nicest guy.
He is. He loves the sport.
Yeah.
That's why I was like, woo!
Yeah.
He was like SpongeBob.
Yeah. Jerry, but it was just turned around like, do you know what you're going to say? And just kind of was given a couple pointers at that point. As far as my training, it was just watching matches and acting like a dumbass. There was no, like, this is what a manager does. Just stay in the corner. I at least had my corner,
Right.
but I would run around. I'd fucking scream. I'd pound on the mat. Normal stupid shit. But managed Horace up until 2001 to July 29th, 2001, when I decided, no, I'm not having fun anymore. Decided I was going to, I'm going to be a rock star. That folded really quick. And then come 2002, which was your next segue. So 2002, I get a phone call after 2 months of not hearing from her. Rain calls me up, and she's like, hey, yeah, so I started dating this guy. I want you to meet him. He doesn't have any friends.
It's a glowing endorsement.
Yeah, thanks. Well, he moved here from Philadelphia. He doesn't have many friends around here. I think you guys would be good to hang out. Sorry I haven't talked to you because I've been dating this guy. And it turns out to be Nick Mondo.
Fucking right.
I had no idea what the fuck CZW was.
That's one of my questions was, how did you get involved with Nick Mondo? So now you're just automatically segueing into that. That's good.
Yeah. So she started dating him. I had absolutely no idea who Nick Mondo was. I had absolutely no idea about CZW. Hell, I had no idea about IWA Mid-South at that point. And I was not out of the business because I still hung out with Horace and Rain.
But I just want to note that this is on the tail end of Mondo's career because he only really wrestled from 99 to 2003.
No, he went to 2004.
The sources I was finding said that it ended around 03. He might have had a few more matches, but yeah, even on cagematch.net, it showed the end was 2003.
Oh yeah, because Tournament of Death that year. Yeah, because I remember 2002 was when he took the weed whacker
to the chest.
I was getting texts or messages from his webmaster, Brutal Butcher Shop. Well, I haven't fucking said that name in forever. But Lars, who's now a photographer for fucking Holly Madison and a whole bunch of models here from California, Vegas.
Right on.
Minnesota. He actually lives in Minnesota. I haven't talked to or met up with him. But I was getting messages. He's like, yeah, if you're reading any of the news, Mondo's fine. And here's Bonnie in the background fucking like freaking out. I'm like, yeah, he got hit by a weed whacker. Have you ever felt somebody that's been hit by a weed whacker? She went to the bathroom. He's like, give me your hand. It felt like fucking fish gills. It was the day after.
See, now what we need to clarify is that someone did not hit him with a weed whacker. They powered it up and they weed whipped his chest.
Yeah. And it was not just an electric. It was one of the fucking gas-powered ones. So it's even faster. And yeah.
Oh my God. That video is so fucking gnarly.
Yeah. So I meet up with, that was about February, and meet up with him about March at an SDW show. I think we went back to his place, which was underneath the Army Reserve building on campus, at the U of M campus. Nobody knew that there was a fucking one-bedroom studio apartment. His dad owned the building. And so they built a studio apartment in the basement of the Army Reserve building. And we had all access to the Army Reserve where you could walk in because you could go up the stairs and go in there. So we'd go up into the second floor and fuck with all the drunks that were walking down not University, but whatever street he lived on, right near Oak Street where the Chipotle is, across from the Fine Arts Center.
It's a good point of reference. The Fine Arts Center's there, but there's a Chipotle.
Yeah. Well, That's because we always would go for Mexican baby diapers there. That's
What
where
the
we
fuck does that mean?
Chipotle, Mexican fucking baby diapers.
Oh, because they're wrapped so tight?
Mm-hmm. They look like Mexican baby diapers.
Fair enough. Down in the apartment of Sick Nick Mondo, hardcore wrestler, high flyer extraordinaire.
So
winner of the CZW Tournament of Death 2?
Yes.
Okay.
So I had no idea who the fuck Nick Mondo was. Went down to his place and I don't know if he was getting together the worst of Nick Mondo or we just decided to watch it.
Mm-hmm.
Then I realized, wait, you're at the ECW arena. That's where CZW is at. The ECW arena. Yeah. And so I was like, oh, maybe there is still a chance that I can work this fucking venue.
Right.
But at that point still, I was trying to do the rock band thing. But he and I started hanging out constantly because both of us were going to school where I was going. And so me working retail, him doing the wrestling shit, we had all the time in the world at night. And we'd go hang out constantly downtown Minneapolis, rollerblading. Rollerblading. Yep.
That is a very ballsy admission on this show, because as the joke goes, what's the worst part about rollerblading?
Rollerblading.
Having to tell your parents you're gay.
So, anyway, he's showing me this. We're hanging out. And then, since I didn't want to hang out at my place because I was in a shitty roommate situation, about April, May, I called up Bonnie and I was like, any chance I can... Because she had a bunk bed in her living room. She worked at Slumberland, and so she'd have all this fucking furniture. I was like, let me just fucking stay at your place for a couple weeks until I find a place.
That's how it always starts. I just need to couch crash for like a couple nights. 6 months later, Uncle Barry's still fucking here.
Except, I get a phone call the next day. Yeah, I went to the clubhouse, or to the clubhouse / front desk, and they've got a 2-bedroom apartment. Matt said it's okay.
Matt being her boyfriend.
Yeah. Matt being Nick Mondo.
Right.
Wait, so we're going to have a 2-bedroom apartment. Yeah, Matt said it's okay. The entire wrestling fucking community hated me. Not really.
Oh, because they were jealous.
Because, 1, she was dating Nick Mondo, and 2, I was her roommate.
Oh, so you had all kinds of clout, and everybody's like, fuck you, because you're cool friend and you're cool roommate.
Yeah. No, they weren't. They were just like, dude, you live with fucking Rain? Yeah. Have you ever done anything? Nope. And I think Mondo knew that nothing was ever going to happen. And I know that he was telling me that dudes out in CZW were like, you're letting your girlfriend move in with a straight dude.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Well, even a close friend at that.
Exactly, yeah.
That kind of feeds on the ego, the angst, and the nervousness of wondering, but obviously he trusted you both. And you had clearly been friend-zoned.
Yeah, and we had, I was working for his dad, too, on the triplex shortly after that, so it was...
And you were in deep.
Yeah. I knew the whole fucking family of Mondos. Moved in with her. So prior to that, it was Lacey's birthday. It was also Monticello's senior prom. And Nick Mondo had a message board. All his fucking fans from out east to Minnesota were on this message board.
Mm-hmm.
I became like the staple. Oh, this guy knows Mondo. So there was Graeme. Then there was NRB, which was No Reason Boner. Then all of Mondo's clothes, because that was about a 2-month storyline on his message board where I would just show up randomly saying, yeah, I'm Nick Mondo's shoe. His foot goes in a sock. It goes into his shoe. Ended up being, I'm Nick Mondo's UFOs, which were his pants, the UFOs, the puffy pants.
Okay. Like what Sabu would wear.
Somewhat, yeah. So it got to the point where it was, I'm Nick Mondo's UFOs, blah, blah, blah. I hired his NRB. And then everyone is like, fuck you, man.
Oh, so it was like, who is this fucking guy on this message board who's totally trolling us?
Because everyone was in the Fight Club, and...
I'm sorry, are you saying they're into it, the movie, or they were in an actual Fight Club?
No, into the movie.
Okay.
So all of I Am Jack's Mind and all that stuff. So that's where we were getting, let's just continue going with it. Mm-hmm. And then I was also Patty P-A-T-T-I, not P-A-T-T-Y, his fan from out east, who was a little slow, and all she would type is run-on sentences, and if you read them correctly, they turned out pretty sick because of how they were running on to each other. So she'd end one sentence and then go to the next sentence, but putting the two sentences together without a period made it sound very sexual.
God damn, you had a lot of free time.
Yeah, I capitalized it. People, because I'd go on and then do this shit, and people knew it was either me or whatever, but just fucking with the fans. And then, so, yeah, April 27th was Lacey's birthday, and I knew that there were 3 fans that were going to be there. One of them, or Boo Boo Kitty Fuck, Hooter McBoob, and Joessiah were going to be at the show. Oh, and Armbar spelled backwards. I can't think of how to say it, but that was one of Joessiah's friends.
Rabmra.
Yeah. So
Rabmra.
Joessiah's senior prom in Monticello was that night, but he was going to go to Steel Domain Wrestling in downtown not downtown St. Paul, but off of 52 in St. Paul. That's a fucking hour-long drive. And he shows up in his tux, dude, you fucking missed it. And so afterwards...
He missed the show?
He missed Mondo's match.
Ah, shit.
Yeah. And I think that was the match he took on Horace. Were Horace and I having beef at that point? No, I think it was shortly after that. But he showed up, and afterwards he was talking with the fans, and Joessiah's sisters came up. Hey, yeah, we want to get Joessiah wants to become a wrestler. We want to find out where Mondo got his boots. And it was Sarah's way of getting my email so we could start talking, and then eventually started dating. So
hello.
Yeah. So that's where how I got into the Joessiah family.
Which was strictly then related to Midwest Pro Wrestling. Correct.
Yep. So at this point, I had been essentially done for a year and a half with wrestling. Joessiah had a few matches, and then come October, November of 2002, I started managing him at MPW in Jimmy, Minnesota.
In Maple Grove.
Yeah, Maple Grove.
So, question now.
Yep.
Sheriff Johnny Emerald never paired you with Joessiah.
Nope.
He let you guys be a unit because you knew each other.
Yeah, he'd heard of me. Actually, Sheriff and Shifty were technically trained by Jim Gagney. But, I mean, those guys let me into MPW. And they had heard of me from when I was in AAW. Mm-hmm. Tim Larson who used to do the Upper Midwest Pro Wrestling E-Group, had a fucking article thing. And Weird Cookie was actually prominent with picture and write-up. It was me standing on the corner, or on the turnbuckles, with Gimmick, which was a kickboxing dummy, the top part of the kickboxing dummy. Johnny was working at Lifetime Fitness, and they were throwing it away. He's like, hey, can I take that? Sure. Actually, I don't know if he actually even asked. He just put it in his car. So we decided to name it Gimmick, and wrote Gimmick on the back. And after the matches, I would beat the shit out of it. And then we would beat the shit out of it before the matches, and it was like our little fucking god thing that we'd put up in the turnbuckle. And then just one day we stopped using it.
When did Joessiah decide that he was going to have the religious follower fan base gimmick? That was always
his gimmick. He was a fan of Christopher Daniels. He was a fan of Messiah.
Messiah from XPW?
And CZW.
Because Messiah was fucking awesome.
He wrestled Mondo.
Did he?
Yeah.
I know that he did time in CZW, but this is before or after he had his apartment broken into and his thumb cut off.
That was after he was with XPW, because they think he was fooling around with
Rob Black's wife.
Yeah,
Lizzie Borden.
Yep.
I'd fuck Lizzie. Well, back then I'd fuck Lizzie Borden. Not now. Probably not too much.
I looked it up not too long ago. They're still maybe doing pornos.
Oh God.
I think, but yeah, she does not look good. Not that she didn't look. She looked haggard then, but was it like, if you want to say sexy haggard in a way?
Mm-hmm. Trashy but doable.
Yeah. So got through with because of Nick Mondo and with Joessiah and him getting into wrestling, he, even before when they would do like trampoline wrestling at his mom's or his parents' place, mom's place, he was always Joessiah. That was his gimmick name.
So he was a yarder.
Essentially, yeah.
To a degree.
But it was just him and his friends.
But then with MPW, obviously, he was formally trained.
Correct.
And then did you go through the manager program?
Fuck no.
So you were just grandfathered in?
Yeah, because I was already manager.
Okay, this is where I can add anything to the conversation.
Sure.
Our mutual acquaintance, Kid Crazy,
Yep.
formerly of MPW,
Yep.
was a friend of mine because we both worked at Target.
Okay.
Now, I knew nothing about what Brandon's background was. I just knew he was kind of a movie nerd. I didn't know he was going to film school. I didn't know that he was in karate and shit, and he was doing wrestling until one night at our friend Matt's house. He tells me, he's getting into wrestling, and he has me, like, choke slam him a few times just for fun to show me how to take bumps, or how he has learned how to take bumps.
Okay.
He tells me, Dumpy, because obviously that's my nickname back then, and he still calls me, and they say, Dumpy, dude, they have a manager program for $500. They will teach you how to take basic bumps, and they will pair you with somebody.
Basic bumps.
And here's the thing. I was gung-ho about it, and then I told my parents, and they said no. My mom was a hard no.
My parents hated wrestling when I was still watching it, and then right around ECW, they realized I was watching it. Whenever they would come downstairs, I would flip the channel to, like, fucking I Love Lucy or Dick Van Dyke, which I would watch all the time.
Oh, weird.
So they didn't think anything of it, even though my dad's in the fucking computer room, but I'd have it down, and but no, they finally started realizing that I liked it, and we got to order like Heatwave 98 when it was Jerry Lynn versus Lynn versus Just Incredible, and that was always my go-to match with watching them before like my wrestling shows,
like watching their style. That was your get you pumped up match.
Yeah, before I'd leave to go to AAW. So I started managing Joessiah in late 2002, managed pretty much up until 2005.
The whole time, Frosty was the sound guy.
Yes. Yeah.
Because as long as I remember going to shows to support Brandon, Crazy, and obviously so I could geek out and declare my number one fandom of anarchist Eric Cannon back in his early days, I would see Frosty up there. And there was the incident where Crazy's coming down for a match. He had Godsmack whatever was his ring entrance theme. We slipped a CD to Frosty, and he plays Britney Spears' You Drive Me Crazy. Like halfway into Brandon's entrance, he stops the music, and Brandon looks at him like, what the fuck? And then he starts playing Britney Spears. He's just shaking his head. He's pissed. We fucking punked the shit out of him. But all right, let's think of that. That's okay. So 03 is 02 into 03 is around the time that I started going to shows. Prior to that is when Brandon tried to get me to do it. So essentially, our paths did not cross until that fateful night at the Mindless Self-Indulgence show. We could have known each other years prior, and there's no telling how different things could have turned out. And
Mindless Self-Indulgence, I used one of Jimmy Urine's quotes from the first album, and one of the live quotes, I can't remember what it was, and Frosty called me out on it because he was an MSI fan.
So you used it during a match on the microphone?
No, I did it on the MPW message board.
Oh.
It wasn't the Who You Calling a Faggot, not that one. Yo. Yeah, I'll be doing your girlfriend in the ass. No, it was the other fucking quote. I can't think of what it was. But Frosty called me out on it. And so when he called me out, yeah, that's when Frosty and I kind of became friends. But because of knowing Rain and Mondo, we went to Deja Vu 1 at CZW. ECW Arena. That was... Just to go there as a fan was fucking crazy.
Yeah, no shit. It's wrestling mecca for North America. And fuck what anybody says about Madison Square Garden. I could give a shit less about MSG. It's all about the fucking bingo hall.
Exactly. And everyone's like, dude, no, or headline WrestleMania. That should always be your gig. If you don't want to fucking headline WrestleMania, you shouldn't be in the fucking business. Fuck you. I want to work a rundown bingo hall underneath a fucking overpass. That's where I want to fucking work.
Or Hammerstein Ballroom.
Yes. because of ECW.
Where they held the ECW One Night Stand pay-per-views once WWE purchased the rights and revitalized and repackaged ECW.
But the first one was so fucking nostalgic because Rob Page, for One Night Stand 1, did something the week prior so we could go to his place and watch One Night Stand, so he wasn't working MPW that night.
Ah, so he rearranged his schedule.
Yeah, we freaked out when Buell McKillicuddy showed up. Yeah.
Well,
like, no
wouldn't?
fucking way. Exactly. To see the old school, now we're getting off topic, but to see the old school security guards and to see referee John Finnegan and referee Pee Wee Moore, or whatever his name was, and just to have the feuds come back, Masato Tanaka versus
Mike Awesome,
the chair shots, like all the stupid shit that was going on, that it was like, because of Rob Van Dam, they made One Night Stand the way it was.
Right.
The second one, not so much. So anyway, went to ECW, and Matt's friend, who I had met a couple months prior, was at that show. He sees me and we're talking, and I think it was the main event. So it was Lobo versus Zandig. The whole thing about Deja Vu 1 was it was 10 years since the first barbed wire match.
Was this before or after Nick Gage went to prison for armed robbery?
Before. So fast forward to the next year, Deja Vu 2, Joessiah and crew decided, let's go to fucking CZW again. Rain was going to work. That was the night that Eric Cannon versus Cody O'Neill or Kenny Chaos were going to work. And I brought my gear. We were like, maybe we can get Zandig to let you manage. So Mondo would just come in when I show up, meet up with Zandig in the bingo hall. I didn't get paid. Fuck, I didn't give a shit. I'm working the fucking bingo hall, man.
Right.
It's like, you can manage Eric Cannon, since they were unknown. This was their technically tryout match.
This is a lot of runaround just to get to the point where you admit that you got to work a match at ECW Arena.
Yes. And so...
is where he's going with this.
Yeah, so he was like, you can work. So, I worked the fucking ECW Arena at Deja Vu 2 when it was the Taipei Death Match with Zandig versus Ian Rotten.
Nice.
The Ian Rotten, who was in the original Taipei Death Match against his quote-unquote brother, Axel Rotten. This was also when CZW and IWA hated each other, like legitimately hated each other. I mean, they were fine in the locker room, but the fans were fucking rabid.
Oh, God.
Well, this is the fucking ECW crowd, or CZW crowd. You don't fucking come from Kentucky or
Indiana
and go to fucking Philadelphia and try to take over.
You don't go to Philadelphia for any reason. I hear it's just a rabid shithole.
And so for the first match, we were the first match after the intermission. Probably during the intermission, little did I realize who it was, but Tony Marmaluke from FBI was working the show.
Nice.
And skinny dude, I didn't realize that it was him. I mean, it was the tail end of ECW. He really wasn't... Everyone knew Little Guido and Big Cell and Tracy Smothers. But he goes, so is it your first match here? Yeah. Some dude who's been in the business for 10 fucking years, or however long he had been, but had worked ECW in Viking Hall, the ECW arena, gave us fucking
advice.
He's like, if they realize that you are nervous, they will eat you alive. I mean, you knew going to work ECW arena what those fans were like. The most rabid fans were on the East Coast.
Right.
New York was bad, yes.
Some of them even legitimately had rabies.
Mm-hmm.
Probably.
But ECW fans were the ones that tore everybody to shreds. You're a crack whore. That's the only one I can think of right now. But how they would rip on the females, how they would...
Right.
The fans were part of the show when it came to the ECW arena.
Especially with, like, say, Al Snow and Head.
Yes. Well, any of them, for that matter. Sandman, Sabu, Tommy Dreamer.
Well, because Sandman's coming into the crowd.
Yeah. And I got to go watch the show from the Crow's Nest.
Nice.
Yeah. I remember calling my friend right before I got into AEW, and I told him, where he said to his mom that, I'm going to get into wrestling. Sure you are. So when I started the website, I was like, hey, dude, go to allamericanwrestling.com. He goes to it. I'm like, refresh it. And our nickname for him was Cheese. I was like, hey, Cheese, fuck off. Knowing that no one was going to go to the website for that 5 seconds. He's like, no fucking way. Yep. So I called him on the stairs, go up to the crow's nest to watch the match. But met a bunch of the fans that were on the message board and things like that too. Met Little Mondo at the first CZW. Just this fan that showed up looking like Mondo, who eventually turned into a fucking hardcore, ultra-violent wrestler. And now I think he had a tryout match for WWE to try to get, so if we could get the Gulag brothers together. But yeah, so, because he thought he was going to retire, but he's not doing the ultra-violent shit anymore.
Right.
He's actually, I can't think of what is Drew Gulak, but what is Rory. Because he was Little Mondo, aka Rory Mondo. Mm-hmm. Met him when he was fucking 14 years old. But yeah, Tony Marmolo gave us the advice, and yeah, so
the match is happening.
The match is happening. I think the fans were calling me a homo. And before the match, the referee didn't show up to the ring.
What the fuck?
I wasn't going to give a fucking promo in ECW. What the fuck am I in the ECW arena? I would barely give promos. And I remember
that was your moment to seize. That was your 8-mile moment. And you did not seize the day.
Okay, I just told you that if they found out I was nervous, I would have been eaten alive.
Right.
Yeah, I'm not going to get on them. But watching the video, a fan fucking moons me before Cody O'Neal comes out and is like, eat my ass, like, moons me, turns around, big fat dude, and like slapping his ass. I don't have glasses on. I couldn't fucking see it. If I knew about that, then maybe I could have taken the mic or whatever. It was like one of those afterthought things, but yeah. So some fan knew me. They were ripping on me. So yeah, to work the ECW arena was like, I should have retired then and not worked another 2 years.
Like that night?
Yeah. I should not have worked another 2 years. But I did. So really quick, the Mascara story. Did a show, or managed one dude named Killer Claw. He turned on me halfway during the match. So he and the other wrestler that he was taking on started attacking me. Horace and Switch, the two guys that I was managing, plus Killer Claw, they come out to make the save. They pour water on my face because I just got crushed by a 400-pound 5'8" guy. Actually, I think he was shorter than I was. So they were coming to make the save, throw the water at me, and the mascara starts running into my eyes.
Oh no.
And Johnny runs in, he's like, dude, there are so many fucking hot chicks here. They were all like 14, but still, they all looked fucking 18. He's like, dude, there are so many hot chicks. I'm like, I can't fucking see, dude.
Plus, that's not a good defense for a judge. They looked 18.
No, but he was just trying to say, like, because it was the first match, so I didn't even know what the crowd looked like. Mm-hmm. But yeah, mascara ran in my fucking eyes, and worse fuck. Yep, never wore mascara to do the eye makeup after that.
That's fantastic.
Yes.
That's a good spot for me to say we've reached the point in the show where it's time to play a game.
Fuck games.
Last time you played BS Trivia, you tied the low record with 3 out of 10. It's time to play Bullshit Trivia on Blumpkin&Friends. 10 questions.
All right.
Some have answers, some don't have answers. You get a half point for creativity in a pinch. So, here we go. Graeme, formerly of ITradio, a.k.a. Weird Cookie. BS Trivia. Question number 1. Name 3 MPW alumni not named Cannon or Corbin.
Pretty Boy Delgado.
Mm-hmm.
CJ Talon.
I don't know who that is.
See? And Thorif Marius. I can't fucking think of what his...
Thorif Marius?
Yes.
Yeah, you're going to have to give me 2 more. Just because I don't know who the fuck the other guy was, but I know who Thorif Marius was, but I remember him as being Steel Domain. Come on, you can do better.
Ben Saylor.
Okay, go ahead.
And Gator. That was 2.
I know, I just was waiting to see if you were going to say Gator McGraw.
Well, yeah. But that's who I was going for.
That's a point. So you're doing pretty good already.
Awesome.
Question number 2. Better move, the Frankensteiner or the Hurricane Rana?
Frankensteiner.
Technically, it's the same move.
Yeah. What was the Sandman's?
I don't know.
They had a term for it. I can't remember what it was, though.
The Drunken Kenrana?
Yeah. That was a shitty fucking match. Yeah. Here's one of your idols, and yeah, him versus Horace. Fucking shits.
Unfortunately, the answer was it's the same fucking move. Can't give you that one.
Frankensander. That's what it was. Sandman's was Frankensander.
Okay. Question number 3. Spell Luchador.
Luchador.
There's no U. Luchador. Thought you would have got that one.
I was trying to picture the Taco Luchador sign over by my work.
Question number 4. True or false? The DDT was invented by Jake the Snake Roberts.
True.
That is false. It was popularized by Jake the Snake.
Yeah.
It was technically invented by Black Gordman,
Yeah,
some guy from the 70s.
I was going to say, yeah, or if it wasn't him, popularized by him.
Well, maybe you're not going to do better than 3 points. Question number 5. Don't purposely bomb it either, you motherfucker. What is Vince McMahon's middle name?
Kennedy.
Correct. Question number 6. Anthrax. Would you?
Fuck no.
That is correct.
Talk about a fucking rat.
Anthrax.
And yeah, where did she go? Absolutely nowhere. She wanted to get with Big Heavy so she could do all his shows. Yeah, where is she? Absolutely nowhere.
Question number 7. True or false? RVD did not win the ECW World title until he was in WWE.
True.
That is true. You've already bested your previous score. You were at 4 with 3 left. Question number 8. Where in the world is Carmen Sandiego?
Fuck. Wherever Waldo is.
Incorrect. You should have seen a theme. And the answer is Orlando, Florida at the WWE Performance Center. Question number 9. Name 3 members of LOD.
Sonny. Sonny managed him at one point. Hawk and Animal.
I also would have accepted Draws and Heidenreich. LOD 2005.
I forgot that Jaws was with them. That was before the accident, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because you're not going to put a guy in a wheelchair and fucking spiked shoulder pads. That's just cruel.
But it would have been funny.
So here's the softball question. Number 10. How many pins does it take to win a 2 out of 3 falls match?
2.
That is correct. Let's tally up your score. Much to the chagrin of one Joey Black, who's like, fuck you.
But you said pins. It could end in disqualification. It could technically end in submission.
Why you got to get all technical like? It's 2 out of 3 falls. Pin falls. Come on. You had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You doubled your score from last time.
Nice.
Fantastic. That's where I'm going to wrap it, so we can do this again some other time where we talk more about your wrestling background. Hopefully people found it interesting and entertaining. Road stories.
Backstage stories. There weren't any like major shit, but just shit that Horace and I would pull.
I love how it's like, hey, next time that I'm on, I'm going to tell you all the shit you probably wanted to hear this time, instead of me hanging out in Nick Mondo's basement.
Yeah. Because that was fucking cool.
Interact with the show on Twitter at Blumpkin Show. That is at Blumpkin Show. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/group/Blumpkin and Friends. We are on iTunes. Search Blumpkin&Friends. And on Podbean at blumpkinshow.podbean.com. Original songs can be found at soundcloud.com/BlumpkinMusic. I'm the Reverend Johnny Blumpkin.
I'm motherfucking Weird Cookie. A.K.A. Graeme. Since you're just sitting there waiting for me to say it.
Good night.